I, for a long time, became a master at dishonoring myself because that's how I was able to emotionally survive. You know, if you go in the direction of what you want to do, you're going to be screamed at, called a useless demon by your mom. But if you do this thing that your mom wants to do, then you'll have peace. She won't be yelling at you, and you can just do your thing and not have to deal with that psychological pain. It's painful when your mother, the only parent you have left, because my dad has been deceased for some years now, is calling you useless and calling you a demon. Like, so you just fall in line and do what they say. And the falling in line means I'm dishonoring myself, but it also means that I have peace, you know?
But you did, sorry.
Exactly. And that's the experience for a lot of people. You have just tuned into Trust Sasha. Yeah.
Welcome to the Trust Sasha podcast. I'm your host, Sasha Jones. We are here with the illustrious, the lovely, the busker of the Bohemians.
Purr.
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 The pickiest of yous.
Oh man, my healthcare professional is probably going to be like, what?
What are they talking about? She was in the PICU, y'all. Thank her.
It was. Yeah, I probably took care of your children or something, maybe.
Okay. I was about to say something ancestral, but I said, don't go there.
No, say it.
I was thinking like, how the black folk used to take care.
Oh, I know where you're going. Yeah.
We're not.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Not yet. We just started.
Are you speaking in a Hebrew? Yeah. I said like, it's coming through.
When the soul and the okay.
It's coming. Dang, Nkese, y'all. Nkese, my friend, Nkese. I'm not gonna say her last name because I can't.
And also, too, I don't need her in my business.
Well, there you go. Well, then maybe I should say it because it's gonna be wrong anyway. Nkese is a true blood. Okay. True blood. She's a pure blood. She's not a mud blood. All right. She's not a mud blood. Okay. But no, for real, like, I'm so happy that you're here, friend.
I'm honored. This is so beautiful.
Ah.
Right, it's like, don't cry.
Save the tears for later.
Right.
Man, so how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling excited. I'm feeling like okay, Ice Spice. I'm feeling good. No, I've been waiting for this moment. It's just, I'm so proud of you, and I'm just, let's just get into it, You
about to do it? We're doing it.
I think so. I think we're doing it. But, I'm feeling great. Rain today, so,
Oh, go ahead.
What?
When it rained, what I was thinking about? In weddings, when they say it's raining in a wedding, like it's like good luck type energy, I was thinking, is this a sign?
I think so.
Because it like poured. No, it didn't. I don't know. I wasn't.
It did.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was pouring.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. It was pouring, and then it just like stopped. This is like the first time that I feel like the Weather Channel was actually accurate, because I was looking and it was saying it was going to rain from this time to this time and then stop from this time, and I was like, oh, it actually happened like that. But it was pouring, but it was early, so
it was pouring, and then the sun came out,
and
I feel like, is that not indicative of the journey?
Right. Oh, come on. Wow.
Because we lift our hands.
Come on. Okay.
Enough breath.
Musical Tourette's.
Yes. Yes, Lord. And we will. That song, I never forget, sidebar. I was in the kitchen and I was like, making some hash browns or whatever I was doing. And then I started putting my food in the plate and said, and we will pray for the rest of our days. And I was like, that's a good song. And I started pouring, and I put off the spatula and said, yes! I was like, God damn. I said, why are they yelling?
That song, it's a classic.
It is. That's the classic.
It was so crazy when that song became like a viral meme song. Because I grew up in the Black church. My dad, despite being like a Nigerian man, he loved him black church. Like he was not really grooving with like African church. So I grew up in like black church, like LA, South Central, like gospel hits. Like that's probably why I can sing, because I grew up around that, which is the typical story for most like black singers, right? But so that song, that was in rotation for the church I attended, you know? And so when I'm watching this sound go viral on TikTok and you see some Becky girl like, yes, and she's using the sound to, you know, kind of advertise her coaching business. It's like, you don't understand the historical context of the sound. You know, music is for everyone, but, you know, knowing what that sound is and what that means for the black church, I just find it very interesting, because it's just like, it's a viral sound for you, but it's culture for me. But we ain't got to go there.
Somewhere we do got to go, though.
Yes.
You said that's, and I quote, that's probably why I can sing.
Oh.
Can you just real quick? I mean, you ain't got to sing, but you could. Yeah, you can hit us with some, what are you singing? You singing that Daniel Caesar earlier, you know, that DC. Or you can sing whatever. Or you could wait to the end.
Yeah, actually I think the end
let
will
them
be
get to
good.
know the person.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll learn.
Hit him with the number at the end.
A 1, 2, 5.
Some
1, 2, 6.
Some.
Look. So run this back. So give us the backstory. Where did the joy of this singing come about?
Okay, so like most black people, church really, but even okay, so no, not really church. So I've always liked music, like most people do, I would say. I remember my first time really singing around some people and feeling like, oh, this feels good. It's just so random, but it's like a core memory. And I've never said this out loud. I've just only thought about it. Remember Cherish?
Yes.
Girl.
Don't almost song.
Come on. I'm feeling really, you know?
Unappreciated.
Come on. And I don't know how much more I can take from you. Come on, everyone.
Don't do the thing you used to do.
You don't even say I love you too. And lately, I've been feeling, boy. A woman after my heart.
When I tell y'all, we are the friend. We will bust out in song.
Yeah.
And we will eat some food.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
And will.
Food and music. That is our thing. Okay?
Yeah.
So tell us. Cherish.
So, okay, Cherish, middle school. So I grew up in LA, specifically Hawthorne, 310, gang, gang, gang. But yeah, so Cherish, love that album. I remember being in middle school and like, it was really the era of like buying a CD and listening to the whole thing and going to school the next day and singing the track with your friend. Or how about when you would get the album art and put it in your binder? I was that girl. My mom at the time, she was in school and she would go to Best Buy a lot to get like a, you know, printer or ink for the printer. Every time she would make a Best Buy run, I was running with her because I wanted to get a CD. So one of those CDs during that era was the Cherish album, because, you know, they were popping during their thing. And I remember me and my friends, we were close to the donut shop near middle school. And we were all singing Cherish together because it was like, it's sisters. So it was okay. My friend was that sister. My friend was that sister. We were singing. And I remember thinking to myself, like, dang, like, we sound good. And this feels good to sing. And I remember that was like the moment where I was like, dang, like, music is dope, you know? And then flash forward years later, I'm in high school and I believe I sing the national anthem for my high school graduation. I low-key forgot about that. But yeah, because I would be singing in class and people would be like, oh my gosh, like, you sound good. So I remember taking I was in like art. I had like an art class that I took in high school, and the instructor heard me sing, and I was like, and he would compliment me, and I was like, maybe I should audition to sing for like the senior graduation. And I got it, and I did. But even then, I didn't really take things that seriously. It wasn't until my grandmother passed away back in like 2014-ish or so, and I sang at the wake keeping. And that's when everyone was like, whoa, like, we didn't know you could do that, da, 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 da. And I was like, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna sing for my grandma. And then this was like a church that I used to go to, but I didn't go to anymore. I was just there for my grandma's thing. And after my grandma passed away, we went to Nigeria, we buried her, we came back. My mom was like, come to church with me. Come to church with me. And I really didn't want to, but I just went with her in the name of like being with her. And I remember when I went to church one Sunday, the lady who was responsible for the like the music ministry, like the choir director basically, she was like, "Oh no, I heard you. You coming with us. Like come and sing and choir with us." And that's kind of how it started, my singing in church. It was like she grabbed me, and I'm thinking I'm gonna just sing for this one Sunday. Tasha Cobbs, that's what I say. Lord, if I find favor in your sight. That was like the song. I sang that, and like the church went crazy, and like this guy like stood up and was like and donated like $500 to like the youth ministry. And
I mean to you.
Well,
That
I
was
mean,
your money. No,
it
I'm
was
just like-
triggered by me, but it was like to the youth ministry. But he was like, yes, you know, and I was like, oh shit, okay, you know, eyes on to the Lord. But on some like knowing my sauce type tip, I was like, I know I figured that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I guess you can say the consistency of really being like, ooh, how do I sound? And let me master this song came. It was singing in church. And then I had my spiritual awakening and I stepped away from church. No shade to anyone, but for me personally, with my experience, I feel like I evolved from Christianity. And now we flash forward to April 2021. I'm in the Bay Area. I'm very, very sad with the job that I'm working. And I'm just really having these deep thoughts about my purpose on this earth and what I'm supposed to be doing. And there is a woman by the name of the Hood Healer. I was listening to one of her things one time, and she was saying, so many of you are kind of trying to figure out like what you're supposed to do with your life. How about you zoom in on what comes natural? And for me, I was like, okay, well, singing comes natural. I mean, but what am I going to do with that? And then one night, it was April, it was a Scorpio full moon, and I was like journaling. I know, so random, right? But I should remember the moon. I'm a part-time astro hoe. But I was journaling, and I would call it a download. This idea comes through, and I get the street singer name, and like just the idea, like I think I'm about to do this. So the download comes through, I'm journaling this out, and like the next day I'm out at the store buying all the materials. I'm getting the speaker, the sign, all the things, and then I start singing. My first time ever street singing, which the formal term for street singing is busking. So my very first time.
Spell it for the people.
Busker. My first time ever doing that was in Santa Cruz, California, which is a beach town up in the Bay. I was in the Bay Area at the time. And I remember I was so nervous. I didn't have the setup I have now. Right now I have a wagon, you know, that makes more sense. But all I had on me that would make sense to transport the speaker and my stuff was a little carry-on luggage. So I took my carry-on luggage with the speaker in it and like other stuff, and I posted up next to this bomb vegan restaurant that I ate at before. It's called Cafe Gratitude. And I posted up like around the corner from it. I had a tapestry. I laid it on the floor. I was sitting on the floor. I didn't even have a chair at the time. And I had this little container because I was like, ain't nobody about to really pull up on me. Like I just know that I was like, let me just go and do it, right? I sang for maybe about like 30-ish minutes to maybe an hour, and I made like $30 in 30 minutes. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. And I remember just like my armpits, I was so nervous. I was like sweating and like singing like this. And people were like, woo, like you're really good, walking by, like giving me a thumbs up. And because I was close to the restaurant and it was kind of around COVID times, there was a lady who was eating her food outside of the restaurant, and she was like, oh, what an honor to eat my food and hear you. And I was like, oh,
Wow.
yeah, you know, it was my first time. So I was like, whoa. And that's basically where it began. From there, at the time I was working. And so whenever I had the energy and had an off day, I would like, you know, go somewhere and do it. So Santa Cruz was the first place. And then it turned into San Jose because that's where I was working at the time. And so then it turned into San Jose to now Sunnyvale. I was starting to do like farmers markets in different places. And basically, ever since April 2021, I have been a certified busker, a certified street performer, and I've been doing my thing. out here in these Cali streets, enjoying myself, making money. And it's just so crazy because I'm a shower singer. I have no formal training. I had immigrant parents, right? I'm saying had. My mom is still alive. My father's deceased, but I have immigrant parents who their main focus was education. There was really no support of the arts. It was more so like, okay, if you sing for God in church. Like there was no like I'm going to put you in piano classes or singing lessons, you know. So it's been really cool to see how this natural organic gift has opened up so many doors. Whether it's like I need money for this, I look up and it's like I literally made the money I need in this singing session. Or how about maybe a time where I'm like, dang, I'm really hungry, you know, but I gotta save my money. And I get up to use the bathroom, and the restaurant I use the bathroom at is like, hey, anything you want. Thank you so much for that. And I'm like, what? Thank you for what? Your music. Whatever you want on the menu, I got you. And I'm like, whoa, free food.
Free food.
And I'm a Taurus, sun and moon. Okay, so free food. I'm like, oh.
You're a Taurus sun and moon?
Oh, yeah, I'm a Taurus for real. Yeah.
I'm a Libra sun and moon.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your rising?
Leo.
Leo. Okay. And I'm a Sag rising. That's so
I don't know
funny.
what that means, but I know what the Taurus mean because most of my, my best friends.
Yeah, she is surrounded by Tauruses.
I got like 7 Taurus friends.
That's funny.
Literally, I'm not even gonna name them all.
Yeah,
but...
and I've met a couple of them. They're really dope. Hey, Sequoia girl.
Oh. Most of them were on my birthday.
Yeah.
Sequoia. Well, I'm not gonna do that.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's basically, I would say, the music story. Always liked music. Core memory in middle school, then singing in church, then singing, in the 2020s. And honestly, it really was like a way of me to kind of cure my sadness because I was just feeling really existential. Like, what am I doing with my life? I want to make money being myself and feeling good. And then it turned into people like booking me for parties and stuff. And whoa. And now I have like 1,000 and some change followers on Instagram. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty crazy. That's kind of cool, And so, yeah, I'm just doing my thing. Yeah, it's like I don't want to be famous, but I would so love for this to grow into something where I make real money singing and it would, pay my bills and then some and more. So
I want to touch on a couple of things that you said.
Okay.
But first, when you talk about your art growing, what is an ideal way for your art to grow to where you say you don't want to be famous, you don't want to be in the limelight, but you do want to, what do you want? Actually, let me not determine what do you want?
And this is what I've been thinking about a lot. Like that question of like, what do you want? That's been a part of the existential crisis, if you will, where it's like, what do I really want? How do I want this to look? What do I want this to become? And I love small, intimate spaces. So like a nice upscale restaurant, like I would love to have residencies, plural, at different restaurants and establishments, like wineries, just like classy, high paying type things where I could do my thing for like an hour or two at an establishment, be paid well, and that be my gig. The same way, and I'm sure we're going to get into like the other aspect of me, which is my past life of being a healthcare professional. But I oftentimes compare it to that. The same way that as a nurse, you work your 3 shifts a week, your 3 12-hour shifts. I would so love to live a life like that where I have my 3 gigs a week at whatever establishment I've made a relationship with. And that would pay my bills and do my thing. I would love to also have a solid online presence where I have a monetized YouTube channel where that brings an income. But I would like it to grow where it's like my creativity, my talent pays my bills, but I can still go to Target, ashy in a bonnet, and not be on TMZ or Shade Room, Because I feel so bad for like people like SZA and Summer Walker and these people who are obviously operating in their gift and bringing their sacred sound to the world, because I really do feel like being a singer and music is spiritual. You've been given a gift, and when you operate in that, in my opinion, that's really being in the will of God. You have a gift and you use it. That's really being in the will of God. You're using what was given to you. But then there's the downside of not being able to live your life and do you, you know? If SZA says something the wrong way or looks the wrong way or whatever, now she's in everyone's mentions or whatever, you know? It's just like, I want to be able to be a human and make mistakes and not be on and not have that magnified. So I guess I'm still trying to answer the question of what of what it'll look like and what I want it to look like. But I just want to make money doing what I love and being myself. And this journey of being a busker, being a singer, being a vocalist, it's just so cool because it's like, it doesn't happen all the time, but it's so dope when I get invited to sing at a venue and I'm wearing what I want and I pull up, I do my thing, and I walk away with like $400+ and I just sang for like an hour or two and I'm like, what the heck? This is illegal. Like, there's no way that just happened. Like, I'm collecting my money, like, let me run before the feds find me, you know? Because it's like, it's so dope when I pull up being myself and I get paid and it's just like, Uncle Sam ain't in my stuff, you know? Or even as a busker, you know, do your thing, make your money, and it's like, you count your money and you're like, I made how much? And ain't no tax, nothing on this. Like, it's really cool. And I probably shouldn't say that too loud, because I'm sure at some point in time they'll try to bring some regulation towards buskers, because in this country, if you make money and Uncle Sam can't touch it, they'll find a way to touch it. So don't listen too close.
No, first of all, the story. I didn't even know about that story.
The middle school one?
The middle school
Right,
story.
right. I've never said it out loud. I'm like, yeah.
Yes, exclusive. But you talked about this spiritual awakening, and then you also talked about, you said you had parents that did not support the arts. So what was the fight, the spiritual fight in the midst of your awakening, and then the parental fight to get to be able to simply be here and operate in your gift?
That's a lot. Okay, so spiritual awakening. So as you know, I'm Nigerian. I'm West African.
So I can't pronounce her last name.
Yeah, I am Nigerian American. So when they say like African American, I'm like, I am by definition that. My parents are immigrants from Nigeria. I'm the first American born in Inglewood, California. Hey.
Inglewood, always up to no good.
Okay, hello. And so, you know, my parents, they came to this country, settled down in the LA area. Like, I was like in the hood, like roach infested apartments, all that. Then, you know, moved around Hawthorne for a minute. But anyway, there's very aggressive, strong cultural values with Nigerians. Like, Christianity is a major thing and education is a major thing. So I was raised in that world of like Christianity, white Jesus, education, straight A's. Like, I lived a life where if I came home with a B and it was like 80%, 85%, the sentiment would be, where's the other 20%? You know, like, you got a B, what's going on? And this is a common thing. If there's a Nigerian watching this, I'm sure you can relate. You come home with a B or something, and then the question is, did anybody else get an A? And if the answer is yes, they'll say, did that person have two heads? Basically meaning, did the person that got an A, did they have a special double brain or something to where they got an A? If they're human just like you, why can't you get an A too? You know, so education is like a big thing, and Christianity is a big thing. And, you know, if you know anything about, you know, history, Nigeria was aggressively colonized by the British. So there's a lot of white imagery. Like, literally, as we speak right now, my mom's house, there's a white Jesus on the wall, you know, just, yeah. But that's a whole rabbit hole that I don't want to spend too much time on. So when I had my spiritual awakening, And even the whole spiritual awakening thing that term can mean different things for different people. For a Christian, they may hear spiritual awakening and think like, oh, I went deeper in my journey with Christ. But for me, my spiritual awakening made me move away from the Christianity thing, because I was like waking up to this reality, realizing that virtually everything I've ever been taught is a lie. Even within Christianity, like, for example, the holidays just went by. It just, and I'm a very like brainy intellectual person. Like, I like to study and go deep. So it was like, here I am learning about all these things, learning about history, and I'm growing up in this culture that's like, oh, do things in the way of God. But I'm like, yo, Christmas is pagan in origin. The Christmas tree is pagan in origin. Easter, like all these things I'm learning about, I'm like, this is not even of God technically. Because if you talk to a Hebrew Israelite, they look at most Christians as heathens because of their participation in these different things I listed, which are pagan in origin. They're not really of God. Like, even like Christmas, if you talk about, oh, worshiping God in spirit and in truth, well, the truth of the matter is that Christ would have been born in like November, October. So we're not even operating in truth when it comes to this December 25th stuff. What?
I just had a whole
What?
How we were talking about like the new year truly being in March, and then 8 in October.
These are the things that came into my awareness waking up. It's like virtually everything that we're doing in society is rooted in lies. So even with what you just said right now, we were discussing the other day, the so-called New Year just went by. But when you match the New Year, or when you match the months when it comes to their numerical prefixes, like one thing I was telling Sasha, October is our 10th month. But when you look at the OCT prefix, that is the prefix for 8, oct. An octagon has 8 sides, but yet it's your 10th month. So if you move things around, March is actually your first month. March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, your 8th month. If you start off with March, then when you hit October, it actually is number 8, and that is really the new year. That's when spring happens. That's when things really bloom and come anew. It makes no sense for the beginning to be in the dead of winter when things are cold and dead. The animals are hibernating before any white man. Yeah, I'm going to say it. I love y'all though. Right? I'm not going to say what kind of
It was a white man.
But it's like before any colonizer came and told us about when we should be operating, we operated with nature. Indigenous ethnic groups, our calendar was based off of nature. Now, granted, on this side of the world, or like on other sides of the world, like it's different. Like our springtime is like somebody else's winter, or so on and so forth. So it's not like a global thing. But on this side of the hemisphere, March is the beginning. There's some African countries where September is their beginning, because that's when that's their spring. But overall, we as diaspora, before we were invaded, we operated with nature, and that was our original calendar. So that's an example of one of the many examples of the things that I woke up from. So when I am existing in this culture that's like, oh, January 1st, we must be in church to bring in the new year with God, I'm having my awakening, and I'm like, who said that's the new year? Who told you that? And now my family... What?
I was about to say, how did your family react?
That's what I'm about to get to. Now, my family, they think that I'm this know-it-all. Like, I remember getting like, you think you know so much. Who do you think you are? We're bringing in the new year with God. And I'm like, I'm not anti-bringing the new year with God, but it's like, who said this is the new year? And I think because I was challenging so many constructs and ideals that basically created the reality of my mom and my culture and things like that, it was like, oh, who do you think you are? You think you know so much? It was, and I think it was very jarring for my mother, because I was once the, like, I was just so gung-ho with all the things. Like, I was a Christian youth leader, and I just followed all the rules and just blindly obeyed. But when you have your awakening and the metaphorical scales are taken off of your eyes, like Paul on the road to Damascus, okay?
That was an office moment.
Like, you just look at things differently and you're questioning things. I feel like, no shade to my Christians out there and be watching, but a lot of Christians are blindly following. If you engage in a deep debate with them about their beliefs and why they believe what they believe and why they do this, they would not have answers for a lot of those things, you know? And so I think my awakening was just like triggering for my mother, because it was just like, my daughter, like, what's going on with her? Like, she used to go to church and do all these things, and now she's not going to church, and now she's saying New Year, now she's talking about white Jesus. Like, it was a lot for her. And she's also an immigrant from Nigeria. These conversations are not being had in Nigeria. It's very much like the effects of colonialism have made Nigerians very colonized, if I could just say, you know?
That's so interesting. Well, I'm not surprised, because it's unfortunately it's history.
Yeah.
But it is interesting in terms of like God, because everybody, what I've noticed, you know, and I'm not gonna get too deep into. I don't even think I need to. It's just simply this ideology of, because I believe in God. I know you believe in God. We believe in God in our own way, and I feel like that's where things start to get a little twisted. You know, your God says this, or my God says this, and your God says, and it's like, you know how I feel about religion. It wages wars. But
okay,
you know,
take that, camera.
Camera one, you know, no, but it's so interesting, people's relationship with their God. And when you bring in the Nigerian history, and so here you are, how old are you at this time? Were you saying, nah, I ain't going to church?
I'm like 27, 26-ish or so.
Okay. Now, in 27, 26, in the Nigerian culture, are you ever really like grown enough to be? Oh, okay.
Who do you think you are? You ain't a child. You think you know everything? No. In my culture, basically, you don't get no respect until you got a baby or something. And even then, as a baby would marry, as a mother married, you're still like, you're young. These young kids, you know, but as a woman, you're not really viewed as being worthy of respect until you become a mother. But yeah, 26, 27 with no child. Oh, I'm a kid who doesn't know what the heck she's talking about. I'm not worthy of no kind of respect, no kind of reverence. And then there's also this added layer of me being born in America. That's a thing too. It's like, oh, like for example, in my language, the word nita means like child. So a common like diss out here is, oh, nita America. Like these American born children, they think they know everything. They don't understand our culture. And it's just like, if anything, personally, I feel like I'm a returned ancestor. And I'm here to turn this thing up in the name of the ancestors and who we are without colonial influence and brainwashing. Well, let me not get too bug.
Amen.
Okay. And that's a non-colonial amen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ashe is what I meant to say. Excuse me. No. But so here you are. You having this spiritual, because I remember my spiritual awakening. I can't say everyone's is different, but the thing is, for you and your talent and your calling, you had to fight your family. My spiritual awakening was more so me fighting my inner self. But in fighting your family, are you not also fighting your inner self? Did you not also have an inner fight?
Oh, absolutely, because the programming runs so deep. You know, I've been programmed by Christianity and viewing education as the end-all be-all and the only way to be successful. And, you know, with Christianity, too, especially when you go to these, like, fire and brimstone churches, you're basically made to feel like you're nothing without Jesus, and if you step away from the fold, you will fall. You won't have protection and grace under God. You're basically made to feel like if you step away from the church and all that you've been raised on, your life will fall to shambles. And it was definitely a fight of like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing? And it would be really cool because every time I went out and sang, it would be like a confirmation I'm going to be okay. You know, like, for me, it was like, there's no way that I'm like, because, man, it was like deep. Like, I remember when I stopped going to church, and if my mom ever sees this, sorry, but I have to keep it real. But it's just like, because, well, so much. Basically, my mom was like calling me a demon. She called me a demon because I stopped going to church. And it was just like that is the spirit and the energy in my culture when you step away from like these constructs. And so it'll affect you internally where you're just like, am I a bad person? Like, am I doing something wrong? And it's like when I'm out here singing and this woman walks by me and she's like in tears, like, oh my gosh, I was just thinking to myself about how like I miss my dad and that was his favorite song. And she comes to me with tears in her eyes. Or maybe I'm low on money because I'm like trying to figure something out. And I look into my bucket and I go home and count my money and it's like I've made like $700 in 2 hours. Like that don't happen if you're a demon. That don't happen if you're not of God, as my culture would say. That happens when you're in alignment. That happens when you're actually operating in the will of God, in my opinion, you know. But definitely was an internal fight because I was going against like the deep rooted programming that had gotten me to where I was thus far, you know, and here I am like stepping away from that to pursue what I'm feeling is coming up in my soul, to pursue what came to me as a download while journaling. You know, it's like it was and has been like big and to a certain extent like there's a lot that I keep secret from my mom because I don't want to hear her critique. You know, I don't want to hear her, like, even when I told her about the busking, I gave her a little bit. She was like, so you're singing on the road? You're singing in the streets. Like, you know, it's just like, there's so much that she doesn't get. There's so much that the African aunties and uncles don't understand when it comes to art and creativity. And I get it because when your country has been pillaged and destroyed by colonialism and now you're in survival mode and you've lived a life where you're walking 10 miles to fetch water and you're trying to figure out what you're going to eat, your main focus is stability. So that's why, in my opinion, I feel like that's why Nigerians, because if you look at the statistics, the most educated people group in America are Black women. But when you zoom in specifically to who those Black women are, it's Nigerian women. And it's because of our culture, but it's also because of what the colonizers did to us. They messed us up so much, it made us like aggressive with our pursuit of stability and education, you know? And we do that. I became an RN at 22 years old, you know? My mother was a midwife in Nigeria, came to America, did her thing as a nurse. She was told by professors that she could be a doctor because of how sharp and smart she is. And we're a powerful, dope ass people, period. But I know that a lot of our like aggression and like, ooh, with education has to do with the PTSD that we are collectively experiencing secondary to colonialism, you know? So anyway, kind of rambling, but all that to say, a lot of fighting internally because I was going against a lot of programming and a lot of fighting externally because my mother is watching her daughter who used to be with the program, Christian, RN, nurse, doing all the matrix things, basically fall away from all of that and now pursue this hippie life of like, I'm singing on the street. I don't want to be in healthcare. You know, I think it was kind of like traumatic for her because she's like, I worked my butt off to give you this opportunity. And like, what? Now you're like struggling with money and you're singing on the street. It's hard for somebody from that world to understand the whole idea of pursuing your soul because for her and like, you know, her siblings and the aunties and uncles, there is no pursuing your soul. It's doing what makes the money so you're not homeless and you're not starving like how you were when you were growing up in the village, you know? So I do recognize that I am privileged as a Nigerian American having the ability to pursue my art because let's not get it twisted. When I started busking as a registered nurse making really, really good money. So
pick you, nurse. Okay.
Periante, okay? Yeah, and well, I know we're going to get into that. But it was like having the good money that was coming in and the savings that was juicy enabled me to be able to buy a $600 and something speaker and not flinch. Because I had it like that. There was more where that was coming from at the time. At the time, okay. At the time.
Scratching and surviving.
Okay, you know.
He's a credit ripoff.
So I do have the dual mindset to understand the perspective of my mother and the elders who may be like, what are you doing? You know, because their experiences have curated a certain mindset, and so have mine, you know. But yeah, all that to say, lots of fighting, internally, externally, you know. Yeah.
What do you think your mother's support could have done for you? Because I mean, because clearly you're doing it, regardless. However, I'm really curious to know, like, if you had an opportunity to build what you desired from your mother, what would you build in her for you?
Sheesh. Well, with my spiritual awakening, it would have been really dope if she was like open-minded to understand that every individual is on their own spiritual journey. Because when I was having my awakening and I stopped going to church and I was questioning things, it was like basically like you're a demon. If you step away from church and you know you're not a Christian, then you're basically allowing Satan into your life. And so it was very lonely and very scary. So in the name of like a build a mom, like it would have been really dope if she would have been like, okay, like let's get into the questions that you have. Now, I because her strong suit is being a nurse and that's kind of like her thing. I don't know if she would have had the bandwidth to really get into like those deep theological questions because I'm a nerd. Like I'm the kind of person where I'm like, okay, you're telling me that I need to be going to church on Sunday. What does the Bible say about church? Like I remember we got into this really big argument about me not going to church anymore, and I literally via my computer and using the physical Bible, went through the Bible and found every portion of scripture that talked about church. And I wrote it down. And I said, you're saying I need to be going to church? Here. This is every portion of scripture that talks about church. What here says I have to go? You know, and even during that hunt, the only thing I found was like Hebrews that says that we should not neglect meeting up with other believers. There's nothing written about going to a building on Sunday, what that should look like. Because I was like, you want to have this conversation? Let's get into this in a scholarly manner. And she would just be like, you think you know everything, not even be willing to get into the word. It's like, you call yourself a Christian, right? You love God so much, then we should be going into this book that you claim to read, right? But you don't want to do that. You want to just scream at me and yell that you need to. And when I say why, because that's what Christians do, according to who? Because as far as I'm concerned, in this book, the church don't even mean a building. The church refers to a collective body of people, you know? So I would have appreciated her actually going there with me and getting into things theologically and academically the way that I was doing. I was pissed off, but I was like, well, you Nigerians love education so much. Let me take an educational standpoint towards this. And I was not met. I was met with, you know, you think you know everything and just being brushed off and I'm being disobedient. And I'm like, what? And then when it comes to even like just stepping away from healthcare or even like prior to my awakening, just even before, I would have appreciated a parent who would have been interested in what comes natural to me. I don't know if I'll have children, but if I do have children, one of the things that I really want to be intentional about is paying attention to my child and what comes natural to them. Because I feel like if my parents would have done that, I would have never gone to nursing school. I would have been put in piano lessons. Like they would have piqued my musical inclination. But once again, because I have that dual mind and I am mature, it's like, what can I expect from immigrants in survival mode trying to figure out their way in a country that's not their own, you know? And especially with my mom being a single mom, like she could only do so much. But I would have appreciated support as I evolved from Christianity, and I would have appreciated support with like the arts. Like, okay, this is what you're interested in, you know. But that's layered because it's not even really about now, it's about back then. I would have appreciated her looking at me as a human being with my own destiny and my own gifts versus that survival mode lens that most immigrant parents have, which is do this because you'll make money. Because it's like, and I won't say their name, but I have a cousin who's a doctor. And while on the outside, everyone's praising this cousin of mine, like, oh, doctor, doctor, deep inside, they're miserable. They're extremely unhappy. And this pursuit of theirs was very much prompted by, like, you know, an aggressive parent who's like, if I'm sending you to school in America, you're gonna be a doctor, you're gonna do well, And they did it, and now they're kind of like having their own crisis / awakening of like, is this life?
Parents are so powerful. Really, when you break it down, because even what you said about your cousin, which your cousin is the unfortunately average individual, doesn't matter the country, really, like your parent has this idea for you, this plan for you, and it doesn't matter the age. Deep down, we want to make our parents proud.
Yeah.
Like that's just in us,
Yeah.
biologically. And, you know, here we are doing these careers and going and smiling for the man. You know, we go to these jobs and yeah, you making money, but you come home and you're depressed. You know, and that's where the different addictions kick in. We ain't got to go into that part, but you know, I'm so proud of you for not doing that. It's not easy to go against your culture, your parents, and it's not easy to trust yourself.
At all. And it's so crazy that you bring that up because I was just thinking about that the other day. The way that I was raised and the way that many of us are raised, it kind of crushes your intuition. I think that kids come to this earth pure. They know their soul, they know themselves, but we get gaslit and corrupted by our parents and by society to where we don't even know how to trust ourselves. Because for me, my lived experience was that anytime I did something that was in the direction of me being myself, I was reprimanded. I was told, no, who do you think you are? So then you kind of rewire, and now you're kind of questioning yourself. So this journey has been very much like me kind of, I feel like my intuition was severed and like destroyed by Christianity and my mom and my culture. And this journey has been like a repairing of my intuition, that trusting of myself. Because when you've been programmed to just like blindly follow what the pastor says, even if deep down in your gut, what he said don't make no sense, blindly follow what your mom says, even though deep down in your gut, you're like, that doesn't feel good. That doesn't make any sense. But she's screaming at me. And I know if I don't do this, I'm going to be reprimanded and berated. It over time, one of the things I said, I think I said this to Tiara before. Hey, girl.
Hey,
it's one of our good friends. One of the things I said to I'm stuttering now. I'm like, one of the things I said to Tiara one time when we were talking about this very thing, like my history, my upbringing, is that I, for a long time, became a master at dishonoring myself because that's how I was able to emotionally survive. You know, if you go in the direction of what you want to do, you're going to be screamed at, called a useless demon by your mom. But if you do this thing that your mom wants to do, then you'll have peace. She won't be yelling at you, and you can just do your thing and not have to deal with that, you know, psychological pain. It's painful when your mother, the only parent you have left, because my dad has been deceased for some years now, is calling you useless and calling you a demon. Like, so you just fall in line and do what they say. And the falling in line means I'm dishonoring myself, but it also means that I have peace, you know?
But you did, sorry.
Exactly. And that's the experience for a lot of people.
I have a question about your dad.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Because it makes me, I wonder, because you can only reference your mom. Do you think that your dad would have been supportive of this process?
I think so. I think so because my dad was he was very into the arts. Like my mom didn't take me to any like fun stuff, but my
Okay.
dad, no shade. And it's so hard because it's like I feel like I'm like low key painting her in a bad light. But anyway, not anyway,
But
but
I don't
like
care.
it's just so many layers. I'm like, do we have the time for all of that? But my dad, I feel like he would have been supportive because he was the one that was like into the arts. Like he would take me to. Do you remember because you know I grew up in LA and I was very close to like the Forum. Remember the Ringley's brothers?
Raymond Brothers and
He
Barnum and
he
Bailey?
took me to that at the Forum.
I
Most
still want to
African
go.
parents aren't doing that. My dad was like,
Mm.
and I think because my dad came to the States, if I'm not mistaken, I think in the 80s, and also my dad was married to an African American woman prior to getting with my mom. He had a little bit of more like cultural exposure versus my mom went straight from the village to coming to America being with my dad, so she was like in her sheltered village bubble. My dad had more exposure, so he had like a record player and like these big old speakers, this really robust sound system. I have my dad's record player in my storage. Like he was really into the arts. So I feel like if my dad was alive and healthy right now and saw his daughter like singing on the streets, getting clapped for, getting asked to sing at like local breweries and venues, he'd probably be like, yeah, like let me be your manager. He'd probably be that parent right now because he was a very like prideful parent. Like I remember being a little girl one year, I drew him something for Father's Day, and we were at church, and they said something about like, "Oh, like give it up for the fathers in the house." My dad, it was so cute. He took the thing I drew for him and like waved it in the air, like my daughter made this for me. So I think he would have been
Wow.
that kind of parent, like supporting me because A, he was really into music and the arts for the most part, and B, was like a proud dad. So if not for nothing, he probably would have just liked the feeling of being able to say, "That's my daughter." So yeah.
Girl dad.
Yeah. Oh, he for sure was a girl dad.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's like but energy is either created nor destroyed, so I know I'm making him proud.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's on the street watching you dancing. Not like that TikToker, but like just dancing, experiencing because that's beautiful. I feel like this is the first time I really heard you talk about your dad in this way, and what an honor that is, honestly. So that makes me sad. Like
Yeah, I'm
like
surprised
I'm
I'm
trying
not
to.
crying, but I think I'm proud of myself for keeping it together because it is sad. I think that's been a big part of this journey. This not even just music, waking up, da da da, but just this life journey of like, dang, my father passed away, and I feel like my dad was like the parent that actually understood me and saw me as like a human, versus no shade to my mom, but I feel like a lot of African women, the mindset with having children is I'm a woman. So as a woman, I need to have a kid, and that's going to make my life complete. And I personally feel like a lot of women, they have children to use their children as assets to their identity and in my case, their American dream. Like I'm gonna have this kid, and this kid is gonna be like this. It's like you're like a couch. You're like a chair they bought to make their living room look good versus
Ooh.
like you're an asset to their image. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy this chair. I'm gonna put this chair right there in the living room, and this chair is gonna make my living room lit. Versus you being looked at as a human being with your own destiny, your own feelings, your own opinions. And I lost my dad as a young teenager, but my childhood memories are filled with us having like real conversations. Like he talked to me like an adult. He actually was like mindful of me and my feelings. And if I wanted to go to the library and my mom said no, he'd be like, okay, you can go. I'll take you actually. Like he was that kind of parent. So I'm like, I feel like I would be like, I'd be on my her shit if my dad was still alive, truthfully. I feel like he would have like supported the musical interest. And so it is sad. But, you know, it just makes me go harder. And again, if I do the whole motherhood thing, I've learned so much from my experience and the tears I've shed. Like, I will never do that to a child where I just tell them, be quiet, you're young, what do you know? It would be like, no. If anything, who we are as Africans before the colonizer came and corrupted our natural way of being is that we looked at children as being some of the most important and holy members of our society. One of my most favorite books is Of Water and Spirit. Are you familiar?
Wait, Ta-Nehisi Coates?
No.
Oh, my bad. Shout out to him.
His name is Patrice. I'm forgetting how to say his last name, but it's Patrice something. And he basically details the story of growing up in West Africa, which that meant a lot to me because I'm West African. Not Nigeria, though, but he grew up in / is from Burkina Faso. I'm probably saying that wrong. But his grandfather was a shaman, and that really piqued my interest because most people that are West African, when they talk about their experience growing up, it's like some kind of like Christianity type undertone. But he basically was detailing the story of growing up in his village pre-colonialism, and he actually details like the story of when the white man came and fucked shit up, which I thought was pretty dope, but also sad. But I just really enjoyed this book because you can really see the magic and the power of who we are without that infiltration and influence. Why did I bring that up? I lost my train of thought.
This is a test for me. No,
right.
you brought that up because you said at one point in African culture, children are looked at as...
Okay, thank you. So in this book, it's really dope because he talks about how when a woman would be pregnant, the village would have this ceremony where they get in contact with the soul of the incoming child and basically tap in with them about who they are and like to prepare for them. And so it's a thing of like, talk to us, let us know who you are and what you need so that we can prepare for your arrival. And even when it comes to their education, it wasn't a matter of like, you must be like this. It's like we had that ceremony. We talked to you when you were on the other side in the spiritual realm. Now you're here. We're going to utilize the information that we received during the ceremony and the information we receive now while you're here to ensure that we raise you up and educate you in a way where you're in line with your destiny. We're not going to, oh, you must be a doctor, an engineer, a nurse. It's like, no, you're going to be what your soul is, you know?
And
That's powerful. That is who we were before we were messed up by this colonialism shit. And, you know, even when you get into like ancient Egypt and just even the root word, the word educate comes from the root educar, which means to draw out. You're drawing out what is naturally in someone. And that is how you go about the education, not forcing them to be this. You got to be a Christian. You got to be that. No, you know? So a lot of the ways, that's why when people, like when my aunties and uncles say things like, oh, it's our culture, African culture. I'm like, no. What you guys are saying is your culture is a bastardization of what African culture became after them folks invaded.
I'm not going to say no names. I'm not going to say what people, race.
You know, like, as you guys can see, I'm very passionate about this. Like, I feel like we have just been jacked up so deeply. And if you're under that Christianity programming, you don't see how bad it is.
I mean, and you can't be Christian and be woke. Ish. I don't know. Let me not get into that because I don't know. I'm not Christian.
It's layers.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I would love to have someone that's Christian.
Like devout, and see what their thoughts are.
Yeah, because even I think about someone like, I always bring her up, Tabitha Brown.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And she's a Christian, but the way in which she is a Christian, I feel like is very different from the average Christian.
Yeah, she talks about having abilities. She's like you.
Yeah. Yes, I have abilities.
Yeah, Sasha's lit. Sasha's like... I'm trying to think of... I almost compared you to Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but I'm like, nah. But she's powerful. That's all I gotta say.
I mean, we can get into that. I mean, we maybe not now.
Yeah, we're gonna do it now.
No, why not?
It's your show. Whatever you want to do.
I mean, in short, you know, I do have spiritual abilities. I have a lot of spiritual abilities. Like
Sasha, she's lit. She'll look at you and you can like. It's just like, I don't know. There's something about Sasha. I feel like this is like. I feel like looking at you right now is like the most I've been able to like really, really look at you. I don't know what it is, but there's times Sasha will look at you and you're like, you're reading my soul. My ancestor sent you.
yeah.
You know, like she's powerful. She can get all up in your business. And if you give her the okay to read you, she'll read you down and she'll tell you what your great 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 aunt wants to tell you.
And I think that sums up my ability. Yeah. No, for real, you should.
Book her for a reading. No, seriously. She's the real deal. She's not some Instagram, you know, person that's trying to make a buck. Like, she's very intentional. Shameless plug.
God sent me. For real, God sent me. And I've had the pleasure of speaking to people's parents that have passed, grandparents that have passed, and giving them these messages, and that breath you took.
It's so funny because I think about you every now and then. I'm like, I think I want to do that work with Sasha when it comes to my dad and my grandma, but I'm also just like, you know, it's over. It's like crazy to think about.
It's powerful. And so, man, that makes me want to cry because I remember that conversation. But operating in your gift. Yeah, operating in your gift. Now, we didn't veered off.
Right.
We didn't veered.
It's a good veer off.
But I mean, like, you have a gift.
Thank you, friend.
Like, for real. And, like, you know, people are like, it's amazing because it's scary to choose you. It really is because there's so many, like, shout to just to everybody that is in the moment of like left or right. And I feel like at some point God puts you on your road and you got a direction to choose. And the direction is you or everybody else. Who are you doing this for? Who is your life for?
Come on, Pastor Jones. Me and Pastor Jones.
I almost did it like.
Come on. Yes. Literally.
And that's why I say the voice is the most powerful form. Like, it's, to me, one of the most powerful chakras. Like, you know, they're all important. Especially, you know, some people have had some dark things happen. And please, let me say, do not silence your voice. I'm talking to whoever needs to hear that. Because your voice you need to express yourself, no matter how it's heard. And operating in your gift, choosing the road of you, and nobody tells you on the road to finding your way that there are going to be some potholes because you're fighting. Literally, you're fighting. You had to fight the origin of your existence, your mother. Tell me, what was the scariest part of choosing Nkese over everybody else?
Ooh, that's deep. That's a lot. That's layered. I would say the scariest part is the thought of like, what if I'm wrong?
Ooh.
You know, what if I'm wrong? What if I put all this energy into choosing myself because it's hard and it's like, oh no, like you're wrong. You should have just stayed over there under that white Jesus programming. You should have just, you know, insert whatever thing is, you know, just going along with the get along how you were before. That's the scariest part of like, oh my gosh, like what if you're wrong? What if you're totally wrong and this is just, you know?
Second layer to the question. Is that voice your voice? Is the scariest part also your voice? Because who's telling you the possibility that you could be wrong?
That's definitely the voice of my African mother in my head. Very much. I mean, I talk about this all the time. I feel like for a lot of us, the voice, that negative voice in our head that makes us doubt ourselves, a lot of times can be our parents. If we grew up with a parent that wasn't really supportive of us, you know. But yeah, I know that's definitely the voice of my culture. It's the voice of my previous programming. You know, it's the voice of the old program saying like, you know, there's stability and just healthcare and church. Oh, you know. So yeah,
What if I'm wrong?
yeah,
And now you you dance in the what if I'm right. Now you
yeah,
get to dance in it.
yeah. I dance in it, and it's crazy because every time I put myself out there and take that leap of faith, because that's literally what it is, I'm reminded, like, no, you're right. And the fruit of that has been beautiful connections like this, where I don't feel like I have to hide who I am. Because one of the things I was thinking about while recording this episode is the fact that I have many friends from my past life who, truthfully, I kind of went MIA on because I didn't know how to tell them who I am right now. I didn't know how to, the same way that you're talking about being a medium and being afraid to tell people about your thoughts on things and the things that you're experiencing because it's like, yo, we black and like, da, da, da. That's the same way I felt with my spiritual awakening for various reasons, being Nigerian, being a nurse, and no shade to the friends of my past, but many of them existed under that typical like construct of like, this is the way it should be, and here I am having my awakening where I'm questioning the constructs that make up their reality. So it was really, really hard to engage them and relate to them and be around them, honestly.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I'm super grateful for on this journey of me choosing myself, taking the road of me, is the friendships and the relationships that have come about where I can talk about my just, anti-matrix ideals and beliefs, and people like you, Myron T, don't even flinch. There's certain things that I want to say on here that I can't, but it's like, you know what I'm talking about. Certain things where I'm just like, I'm not doing that. I don't believe in that. What? And it's like, you're like, girl, me too. Versus if I were to say that around maybe some old nurse colleagues or my mother or some old Nigerian friends, it would be like, oh my gosh, like, what are you talking about? You have to, and did it. So it's the fruit of choosing me has been so beautiful. It's like you sitting here is a reminder, like choosing yourself is so dope. Like dope things can happen from that.
It makes me think of this reality that the fight to choose you is the fight to heal the inner child.
Come on. Now that's a fact.
And I want to know if you could talk to your younger self now, what are some of the things you would tell her being here?
If I could talk to my younger self now, I would tell her fight harder. Like if I could go back in time type thing, like I wish I was more defiant against my mother. Like knowing what I know now, I wish I fought harder against her. I was so paralyzed by her aggressive African mother ways that I just ceded to her aggressive, you must, and I wish I went harder because I feel like I would be a couple more, like I'd be farther ahead when it comes to what I'm doing now. I would have spared myself the trauma and the debt of nursing school. But yeah, like I would tell her, like, we're doing it. I'm proud of us, we, me, you, I think I told you this a couple of days ago when we were together with our creative workshop about how I'd been following her on Facebook basically after I graduated high school, but my high school avid teacher, hey, Miss Breed. Because especially like if I like get famous, whatever the hell that means, this is gonna be a thing. This episode will be a thing. So it's like
Shout
But
out the important people.
right. You know, Miss Breed was a big part of my journey as a high schooler, especially because I was dealing with so much grief at that time. But anyway, I remember I found her on Facebook a couple of years ago. I think it was like 2021. I was doing some deep detoxing and I was on my computer for whatever reason. I logged into Facebook after not logging in for years and I saw her on there. I just messaged her kind of like, hey, how you doing? Here's what I'm doing with my life right now. And I told her about the singing because I think I was like on a high. This was like 2021 December. I had sang around the holidays. I had made damn near like $1,500 within like 6 hours of singing. My mind was blown away. I was like, am I like surpassing the numbers that I did with like my degree, with like my natural talent that I didn't go to any schooling for?
Period.
You know, it was like, girl, I'll be feeling like that man when I walked in. I walked, you know, I was feeling so proud of myself. Like, it was very much a moment of like, forget anything, any African culture, whatever has said, like, you can do it, you know? And so on Facebook, for whatever reason, found Miss Breed, messaged her, and she told me that when I was in high school, and the question was posed regarding like your dream job or whatever have you, I said, singing on Glee.
Glee.
Which is so crazy. I was like, I said that? Especially because I was so deep in like the African programming at that time. But despite that, my real soul broke through and was like, singing on Glee. And it's like, and so because when I told, and she told me that in response to me telling her about the music. I was like, yeah, I'm singing. And she was like, do you remember in high school when I asked you this, you said this? I was like, I did, you know? And so it was that, in that moment, I was like, wow. I thought about like teenage me and I was like, we're doing it. We're not on the Glee club, but we're singing. Because even like prior to that, I remember like being a little girl, a song would come on and I would be singing it and I would be envisioning myself singing in front of people. But it was just like, oh, I'm a little girl singing. I never thought that would be real because it was like, I have African parents. I'm never going to be a star. I'm never going to sing in front of people. Like, that's not going to happen. And for it to be happening, it's like, wow, my inner child, we did it. We're doing it. And then we're wearing what we want. And you see, maybe out here with my buckets and this fit and that fit and this jacket and that. It's like so fun. It's so cool to just pull up somewhere, sing how I want, what I want, dress how I want, pull up when I want, and sometimes walk away with hundreds of dollars. It's like, what? This is what inner child dreams are made of.
This is what inner child dreams are made of. and oof.
That was a lot, but yeah.
Well, the inner child is a lot. And for you to be healing your voice every time you choose to, you know, it's an act of rebellion. It's an act of revolution. Not me over here being like, no, but for real, it's a revolution not only to the colonization, to the negative beliefs of your culture. It's a revolution to the unfortunate realities about things you do in regards to your mom. But it's a act of revolution to the little girl in you that thought you couldn't exist. You know, and I really just want to commend you and thank you, friend, for being you. Even though sometimes things get rough, you still have to fight parts of you, but you are 100% you all the time. All the time. And shout out to you for doing that. And I'm going to ask a question, because I feel like there's somebody that's going to be watching this that's just going to be like, oh my gosh, she's doing it, you know, and that just wonder, like, how did you silence the pain? How did you silence the voices? How did you come into a light? Because I would envision with all of that, I would imagine that is a very dark space where you're fighting for you. And it's like, can't somebody just, you can't just give me a hand. Why you got to kick me down? So how did you get back up? How do you get back up even now? What does that look like for people that are really struggling? Like, am I worth it? How do you get back up for you?
Okay. I in balance, because as you know, I have my thing where when I'm not okay, I tend to isolate. But I think the isolation helps. It's like healthy to be by yourself and hear your voice outside of other people's voices. When you just really kind of get alone and ignore people. That's something that has gotten me in trouble and has, kind of messed up some relationships where it's like, girl, what the heck? But as much as there are like cons to it, the pro is being able to push forward because you spent so much time with yourself, blocking out the other voices. You're like, I know what I need to do. You know, that's something that has helped, and honestly just delusion, like
Okay.
a little bit of delusion. Like, it's hard, like when your own mother, the only parent you have left, is like, saying negative things, but just kind of being like, it don't matter, I don't care, like whatever, just kind of blocking it out. I guess would that be considered delusion? But just like focusing on what like what I feel in my spirit, or thinking about all the times where things have gone right. When I'm doubting myself, it's like I think back to the night where I made $700 in 2 hours. When I'm down on myself and things are painful and it's like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing? This is so dumb. Like, like I just need to go get a real job. Like, as my mother would say, it's like, yeah, and remember that time where in 1 hour you made more than you would at your real job? Or in 1 hour you made what you would have made at a real job in 12 hours? Like, hold on to that. You have the sauce. And it may not always be consistent. Like, it's a moment right now where, shoot, you went out to sing and you made $10. And it's like, bruh, like, it's not supposed to be a $10 day, It's just remembering those moments where things did work out and just continuing to press forward and be consistent. That's the thing, consistency. I don't know if they answered the question appropriately.
The question was only one that you could answer, so your answer is appropriate. Yeah.
Wonderful.
No, that was perfect because to choose you gotta be ready for the ebbs and the flows. It is easier to have a job, sure. It is easier to know that there is an income coming, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we want to be able to get glasses or whatever people need through health insurance. And those things are important. But it's got to be sweet to follow your dreams and to be here. I know it's sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's like there's just so many moments along this journey where you're like, oh wow, that's pretty dope. Like, I remember one time I was singing at our local food hall. That's another thing too. I'm just like, I like to be incognito. So even when I said like Riverside and I'm like, oh, I want to say the Riverside Food Lab, I'm just like, should I be saying these things? Anyway.
They're set. People will be pulling up.
Okay. With that being said. So yeah, I remember one time I was singing at the Riverside Food Lab, and this girl, she was so dope. She was like really feeling what I was doing. And she posted me, and then she was like, oh my gosh, like you do this a lot? And I was like, yeah, kind of. She was like, clearly, like my friend just responded to my story and said, oh my gosh, I love her, she gets down. And I was like, whoa. Like, it's like people are posting me and then people are recognizing me. Or like, there's this guy, you've probably seen him. So at the farmer's market, there's a black guy that solicits signatures.
Yes.
Like, are you a voter?
Yeah.
His name's Kevin, by the way. Really dope cat. And he was telling me that when they did the Festival of Lights initiation ceremony, that he heard a group of people talking about me, and they were like, "Oh, I really hope they have her sing," like her being me.
Wow.
I didn't show up, obviously, because I did not do
boo.
that. But he was like, because he hadn't seen me in a while, and I was kind of telling at that day I was having a really bad day, and I happened to see him, and I was like, "Hey, I was told you were looking for me." He was like, "Yeah, we missed you at the market. Like, do you recognize that you're loved?" And I was like, "I mean, I can sing if people like it, but you know." And he was like, "People were looking for you. People were like wanting your energy and what you do." And I was like, "Whoa!" And they told me that story, and I was like, "Wow," you know, it was really cool and encouraging and kind of. I mean, the word isn't scary or creepy, but it's like that feeling of like, whoa, like y'all. Because I think sometimes, because of my background, cultural and academic, I've been programmed to look at things from a lens of like, oh, you're only like a big dog or like the real deal if you've had some kind of like academic, like aggressive academic rearing. 'Cause that's the world I come from. Like, you're not an RN until you go through nursing school, you do your clinicals and you finish your credits. And so, because my singing is natural and has nothing to do with like me going to some music school and taking music theory and being taught this, sometimes I don't look at myself as like being like an official big dog. It's just like, yeah, I sing, you know. So when people respond like that and I get that kind of energy, it's like, oh, I am that girl. Like,
And let me confirm, you are exactly who you believe you are to be.
Oh, yeah.
You don't need a degree for that. You don't need no Juilliard. God gave you a degree. And that's it. And here you are. And yes, she is
the Bohemian Busker. Follow me on Instagram. I'm working on my TikTok, but follow me there too when things blow up and like pop off on there. But overall, follow me on Instagram at the Bohemian Busker. That's where you'll get all the tea regarding where I'm going to be at singing, any events I have coming up, and just, you know, tapping in with my journey, following me as, you know, I embark on this thing called life as a creative, you know.
pull up.
On me.
Yes.
And let you see back, yeah.
Yes, ultimately, thank you so much. Again, the Bohemian Busker. Can you spell that for the folks? I'm going to put it up there somewhere.
Right here in the. So @ the THE Bohemian BOHEMIAN, right? Oh my gosh. Busker, BUSKER. If I spelled that wrong, don't judge me. I have a bachelor's. I'm just human. We'll put it on the screen. You can find me there on Instagram, and you can find me there on TikTok too, but my IG is way more popular than my TikTok, so don't look too closely at the TikTok.
Yes, follow her, like her, pull up on her, and repost her, please. And outside of that, again, thank you, friends, so much for your time, your energy, the story that you shared, the road to following your dreams by any means necessary. And you have fought, and I'm so thankful for that. Please continue to tune in. You are watching Trust Sasha. Again, I'm your host, Sasha Jones, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Yep. Trust Sasha. Trust Sasha. Trust Sasha. Trust Sasha.
What?